Welcome, everyone, to a Delco Nerd Network Rewind review, where we sit down and talk about some of our favorite film franchises of the past. This season, we're doing a triple threat of Supermen, if you will, starting with Superman the movies, the Superman the movie, Superman Returns, and today we are finishing off with, of course, Man of Steel. Joining me, as always, Mr. Anthony the Gooch Ragucci. Gooch, how's it going, my friend?
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun, Cal. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
What Superman for president.
What a line.
There are lines and a half in this film, and I'm excited to talk about them. But to get into the finer details first here, initially released June 14th, 2013.
Wow.
I thought it was...
almost to the day.
I was going to say
recording this June 15th.
Yeah, so
2025.
Crazy shit. It's wild that this movie is 12 years old. I remember seeing it in theaters like it was yesterday.
I do too.
I did think it was earlier than 2013. I don't know why. I didn't realize that was my...
So I was like done senior week by the time this rolled out.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I was thinking like my freshman year, like 2011, something around there. But cool to see. With a production budget of 225 million smackaroons, if you will, with an opening weekend of 116.6 million and a worldwide box office of 667.9 million. So it did pretty well.
I wasn't expecting that worldwide box office.
The international box office was actually bigger than the domestic box office, which I found interesting. Not by much. It was like kind of half and half.
Yeah, I mean, with what we talked about, the Chinese market and demographic, they really like these kind of.
And
movies.
I mean, Superman's one of the most well-known characters out there, so it makes total sense. Directed, of course, by Mr. Zack Snyder himself. As far as the story was by Christopher Nolan and Dave Goyer, but the screenplay was by Mr. Goyer. Description for you, Gooch. An alien child is evacuated from his dying world and sent to Earth to live among humans. His peace is threatened when other survivors from his home planet invade Earth.
Perfect.
It's good. It's not as... I think
it's fine.
It describes exactly what the movie is, but I think there's a more catchy way to put it through. I don't know.
I was meaning to... I'm going to take it out for Superman, but I was going to put up my Man of Steel poster, and I totally forgot.
What a poster, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gooch, let's go into it here. Man of Steel, I'll start us off here, if that's okay, because I'm actually excited to get back into it. It was a fun film to go back to. I had a really great time with it.
We watched it together.
We did watch together. There are parts of this film specifically that I thoroughly enjoy. I think Krypton itself is very interesting, and just that whole setup, the first opening 15 minutes of the movie is really intriguing and different. I like the technology on Krypton, but I really do think the main attraction of this movie, Gooch, and I'm realizing it coming back, is
Henry?
General Zod himself. I gotta say,
I mean, we both love Michael Shannon. As
Michael
Zod.
Shannon's General Zod is so fucking good. And I genuinely feel like he's almost kind of more of the main character of this movie, sometimes even than Henry Cavill's Superman. And I listen, I
kind of see why you say that.
You know what I mean? Like, I love Cavill as Superman, don't get me wrong, but I do think his characterization in this is a bit kind of just like he's there. He's trying to figure it out, and he seems very somber the whole time, and he's not, and he's deciding if he wants to be Superman. And, you know, I can get behind that thought process and that idea of the film, but I do unfortunately think he wasn't my favorite part of the movie, but I think he does what he is given very well. I like this idea of does the world need a Superman, and, you know, this kind of battle that he's having with the idea of Earth being ready for this and dealing with like a first contact moment basically with aliens. So I like that idea. It's very much of the time where it comes to this is real and we're taking it real. What happens if Superman crash lands on Earth right now? How does the world react? And I can totally appreciate that, and that's very much, like I said, of the time we're coming off of The Dark Knight. It was a really fantastic watch, and, you know, I got more to say, but those are my general thoughts to start. What do you think, Gooch?
Man of Steel has really aged like a fine wine for me. This is maybe my fourth or fifth time watching it, and I think it gets better every time I watch it. It's truly a fantastic film. It is a little bit different in terms of Superman's origin, I guess, and the ways it goes about it, per se. Meaning, like, you know, the way Lois meets Clark / Superman is like, you know, before she even gets to know Clark, she knows about that double life. And that's very different compared to how it is in the comics. But I think it kind of works. I think Superman is kind of put in this situation by both of his fathers wanting, Jor-El, like the quote I just read at the top of the episode, Jor-El really believing that Superman is going to be this, I don't know if I'd say leader, but a symbol for Earth
what they can
and
strive
humanity.
to be. Yeah.
And and Jonathan Kent kind of being like,
he doesn't trust humanity almost.
the message is almost the same, but it's different. You will be this symbol for people, but how people are going to react to you is a totally different thing. And I think it's your choice on how you want to do that. Maybe you shouldn't have saved those kids from the bus. Maybe you shouldn't have done anything. And some of our neighbors are speculating like what exactly happened. And, Pete saw you save the bus and he told his mom, and, there's questioning.
See how she reacted.
People are questioning
Right.
and like, this is a miracle.
Yeah.
And, maybe you should have just let them die. Maybe you shouldn't have possibly put this spotlight on you because you're not ready.
Right.
And we both know that. And maybe one day you will ready and you will reveal yourself to humanity, and it's going to be a weird day. But that doesn't happen to Superman. Superman is forced to become a symbol immediately. He saves people, and there's that, who is this guy? What's going on? Like, there's these strange occurrences. Lois Lane puts all the pieces together and is an excellent reporter, and they show that flawlessly. Like, really,
Amy Adams is great.
Shows her, Amy Adams. They show her ability to be this reporter and this journalist and investigate this savior, these people who've been saving people. And then, she, without him ever being Superman, he has to become Superman.
Well, and I feel like the first kind of chunk of the movie is him, trying to find his heritage and trying to find who he was. And, I will, and I said this during the watch, I don't like John Kent's characterization in this film. I don't like this idea that
he does have like a credo,
and it's like he's like, I don't want you to, like, he loves his son, and I do. There is one moment especially that I really like when he's talking to Clark and he's showing him who he is for the first time, and he's like, I don't want to be the answer to this question. Can I still be your son? And he's like, of course you're my son. And he gives him a hug, and I'm like, that's awesome. That's the stuff that I'm looking for. I do like the characterization in Superman better, where it's like, it's very small and it's very short. It's different. But where he just walks up to him and Clark's getting all upset because he can't play sports. And he's like, Clark, do you think you were here to fucking play football or something? No. You're here to do way bigger things than that. You don't know what it is yet, but you're going to figure it out. And I think that's kind of a similar idea. Of course, they're trying to tackle with Jonathan in this one. But I just don't know if I particularly like the way they handle it and the way he's just like...
Man of Steel and Superman the movie are very similar films.
There is a lot of
It's very clear that Snyder was inspired by it. He definitely grew up with it, so it makes sense.
Absolutely. And, he wanted to put his own stamp on it, and even the way we get Krypton's destruction at the beginning, the whole design of the planet, I think, is very interesting. And I'll get into it in the fun facts, it feels very almost H.I. Geiger and inspired with the biomechanical of it all. And I can appreciate that they're trying to do something different, especially when it comes to the score. I mean, what a fantastic fucking score. We talk about it all the time.
The score is so fucking good.
It's so good. That first flight moment. There are so many moments in the film that are really iconic in that way, and I really appreciate. I guess there's just some fine-tuning I wish that they did with Superman himself. And I don't know. I think he is a little underutilized in his own film, funnily enough. I do find myself more not even relating, but being more interested in what's happening with Zod and the idea of this first contact moment. And when it starts getting into the idea that he's forced to reveal himself, that is an interesting idea to me.
I never looked at that like that, because like he's not Superman before this. He revealed, like, Zod. They have this, the first contact moment where, aliens are now speaking to humanity is kind of is almost a horror scene.
Yeah.
In this, and like the way you are not alone, and they keep repeating it, and then Zod gives his message to people Earth, hey, there is an alien among you, and he's been here for years.
He looks exactly like you.
We want him. And that's he goes to that priest in the church, and he kind of talks about, like,
love that scene.
Yeah, very Daredevil too.
Yeah,
it's like I don't think Superman and Christianity, not a thing to go together normally.
Yeah, I don't know what religion he would be.
Maybe Jewish, probably.
No, I don't think he. I think he is supposed to be like Catholic in the. I don't know. Either that would make sense because his creators are obviously Jewish.
Yeah. So and he goes in the church, and it's like it's a leap. Like you have to take a leap of faith, and you have to just kind of
just do what you think is the best, basically.
And you may not realize what is the best, but you just kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
And he reveals himself, and he like goes to the army and like, I'm here, I'm the one they want.
Right. And he's putting his faith in humanity, the people who he grew up with, and even Zod to that degree. I do love,
and he knows he doesn't trust Zod.
Exactly.
Like, from
he
the
already
get-go,
right. He has that.
This is correct assumption.
Yes, exactly. I mean, he killed his. Did he tell him he killed his dad? Yeah, I thought so. At that point,
Jor-El.
you have Jor-El come in and give him the whole exposition. I made this joke when we were watching, but I love the idea of Jor-El spending all this time making this AI companion to send with his son, and then his wife walks in and goes, "Hey, what are you working on?" And, "Oh, an AI we can send with Kal-El." "Oh, it's just me. I can only do me. Sorry, you're not. I can't. We don't have enough time to put you in this too." Russell Crowe's fantastic.
Russell Crowe is fantastic. My God, who plays John Kent?
Oh,
what is up with us forgetting? Like always forgetting.
He's
the same name.
fucking. Oh my God.
It's not Quaid. It's
it's Waterworld. Waterworld man.
Find it.
I know. No, why am I
just look up fucking Man of Steel?
That's what I'm doing.
IMDb.
Steel.
I don't know what to say, Trio.
It's okay.
I'm stuck.
Where is it? Kevin Costner.
Thank you, Kevin Costner.
Who again, two great actors, and even the trailers.
The whole cast is great.
It's fantastic. And
everyone.
If you go back and watch the trailers, I think I was telling you this. There was two different trailers that they released. It was the same trailer, but it had two voiceovers. One was Jonathan Kent, and the other one was Jor-El. And it's that moment with Jor-El where he's giving that speech. And I believe actually the speech that Jonathan Kent gives is from like a comic book, from one story specifically. But this focus on fatherhood and his two different families and how that creates who he is. I think that's interesting. But again, I just don't think Superman himself has a real moment to shine in that way, in the way that even Zod does.
The Zod is kind of pushing him along.
Right. And it's not nearly the same as freaking Superman Returns. There is no characterization of Superman in that whatsoever. He's just there and he's Superman by the end. There is that at least growth in it to where he kind of has to accept that he is now Superman and he is going to have to come into the light. I think my least favorite part about that, though, is that it continues after that into Man of Steel. Like, I feel like they answer that question
Batman v Superman?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. I feel like they answer the question if he's like, all right, I'm going to be Superman. And I feel like he almost was like, I don't care what people are going to think. But then he's still dealing with that in Batman vs. Superman.
I think it's sort of like exactly what Jonathan Kent was saying. It's like now you have to deal with being that symbol and and how humanity doesn't just see you as a good guy. And like now you're, being talked about by... science guy, space guy. What's his name? Black guy.
Now we're always forgetting. I don't know. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Thank you. Yeah, when Neil deGrasse Tyson is on CEN talking about you, and like I love those scenes. I think it characterizes like the struggle of Superman and like just being Superman very well, because that's what Snyder's Superman is about. This like struggle of being Superman and how like. It's clearly not easy, and I think James Gunn is tapping into that too.
Oh, for sure.
That exact theme of like, like just because you're like Superman doesn't mean like people like you. Of
course, and you can only do what you think is right. But when you're this all powerful being who has almost no checks on him,
I don't think James Gunn is going to talk about that that God aspect where Snyder clearly the Christ imagery in BVS is out of fucking style. But I think it's incredible.
No,
because I think that like again, go back to Jor-El and Jonathan's speech. Like they're talking about him as a symbol, but like it's definitely like you're a god to these people.
Well, I think, and it's almost even more like you are an example of you are there that can lead them into a better place than we went to, especially because that's the big theme with I feel like Jor-El, where he's like, you can teach them, Cal. Like you can stop them from making our mistakes. They're still young. They still have time. Show them the correct path. Don't make sure they don't go down the wrong path like we did. And I think that that's a very interesting theme as well. And then you have Jonathan, who just doesn't think Earth can handle it, basically. And,
Right.
and he loves his son, and he loves them.
Can we talk about the tornado scene?
Yeah, sure.
I think it is quite weird. It is very like...
I get what they're trying to do.
We're going from 0 to 100 real quick.
Right.
I get what they're trying to do, too. Because it's kind of like the moment where like Jor-El's like, no, you can't reveal yourself this way.
Yeah.
I won't let you.
Or Jonathan, right. Yeah.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said Jor-El.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan's like, yeah, you're not revealing yourself to save me.
I
maybe
believe
I don't
that's
deserve it.
Right.
No.
I believe it's strongly enough to die for it. And that's
Right.
what he's trying to say. But again, it's just the way it goes down where I'm just like...
They're having an argument in the car, which is very human. There are a lot of very human moments with
Well,
Clark.
and he has that moment of like, you're not my real dad. Like, which you see in a lot of things before. But it just in general, like, I feel like that's kind of a cliche. Yeah. And I think that's fine. And he has that moment where, he tries to apologize to him, but then the tornado comes in. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, you're going to run back and get the dog when your son with superpowers can go do that. And then, like, he could probably easily run in there. I don't know. To just die for that, I get what they're trying to accomplish, like what we said. I just think there's a better way to do that, personally. Mm-hmm. But I will say what still absolutely holds up in this film 100% is the action.
Yep.
It is fantastic, and I've spoken about this before. I really feel like Man of Steel is one of the first films to ever have, like, two super strong individuals fight in a way that felt genuinely like almost realistic as that can be, whether it comes to like the physics of what's happening or the connection of the punches or just the way they fly. It's very well done, and that whole Smallville scene especially is one of my favorites out of the whole movie.
Yeah, and especially how I want to call them Kryptonians, but Superman's also Kryptonian. Zod's peeps. They're still wearing those Krypton suits that kind of make them
space suits, almost. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that kind of make sure if they expose themselves to Earth's gravity and
atmosphere
all that shit,
fully. Yeah,
it kind of fucks with them. So they're not fully powered like Superman is, and you see that by the jumping instead of the flying and the way they fight. Like it is awesome, like in the way like they bounce off walls and shit like that. I mean, yeah, there is an insane amount of destruction, and we were talking about that like while we were watching the movie, and I'm like, well, yeah, understand, like this is probably Superman's like first real fight.
I mean, it is, and it's going up against like people who are as strong as him, which he's never faced before.
And he's never had to deal with like the collateral damage of his fights. Like he doesn't really know. Yeah, he could like be like, oh shit, I'm
like maybe we should take it out of here a little. I guess the only thing I wish I saw more of, and we see it a few times. There's a great scene when he saves the guy out of the helicopter. I just wish we saw him save people a little bit more often in those scenes and like trying to make a bit, even though he's new. Trying to make a bit more of an effort.
I mean,
at least...
we do kind of see some of that saving, like with the oil rig, but he's not there to be like,
right.
all in a day's work.
Well, but then there is the one time where he's like, yeah, Zod kicks the LexCorp thing into him, and he just lets it go into the building behind him and blow it up. It's like, dude, can you like catch it? I don't know. It's just, it looks great, and I actually remember the last sequence especially going on a lot longer than it actually does. I felt like it was a bit crazier the first time I saw it, but I was like, oh no, okay, this is more reasonable. Like when he's fighting Zod.
Where were you raised? On a farm?
On a farm? I mean,
what a line, dude. It's so, I said this, it's so goofy, but like Zod's sincerity of it is so palpable.
Well, and I was reading Michael Shannon talk about it, and he like didn't really have any interest in it at first. And then Snyder came and talked to him about it, and because he didn't really like comics and stuff like that, he's like, I'm going to play this as a religious zealot leader from a dying empire. And it, there is a realistic aspect to this.
Everything I do is for people.
And now
Krypton.
I have no people. It's so good. I will find him. Like, he destroys this role. He's so good. He's exactly what I expect.
I was talking to you and about the few times he talks to what's Superman's mom?
Oh, Martha.
No. Jor-El's wife.
Oh, I don't know her. Yeah. Laura, I think it might be.
Yeah, when he talks to Laura, Zod, it almost feels like they have like a history. Like maybe they were lovers at some point.
Or they just know each other very well, at least.
Right.
Like, I think
way
the idea is they were friends. Yeah.
And again, like in the way when he says like, I will find him. I will find him.
Yeah.
Like almost like he's like jilted.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Like them in their personal lives.
Plays that.
Like him going after Kal-El is like his last will and testament.
Yeah, it's all he has left. And, he thinks he's doing the right thing because he's right. I mean, Krypton's run by a bunch of terrible nerds who are going to blow up the planet.
With
and
weird
they won't
hats.
believe it. Yeah, and I did like their design. It was so odd and, like, almost looked like Catholic inspired, like religiously inspired. I don't know.
Sure.
I liked it a lot. But, yeah, pack of nerds who got what they deserved. So fuck those Kryptonians. And then, yeah, Zod's just, I can't speak to him enough. He's fantastic. Michael Shannon killed it. He's my favorite part of the movie, easily.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I like Henry Cavill. I think he does a great job
With what he has, absolutely.
as the Man of Steel. But I think it's truly like his supporting cast that help him be better.
I agree.
Because they're so good, so he's so good. And it's not that Henry's bad, but again, like you were saying, it's like Superman is kind of like a smaller piece in the whole scheme of things.
And, I think when it comes to the characterization of Superman, people sometimes have a hard time, like, really nailing it down. And, this was written by, like we said, Goyer, who just did The Dark Knight. And I do feel like Nolan kind of escapes a lot of the, like, critique on this for the people who don't necessarily like it.
I think I kind of totally forgot Christopher Nolan was involved in this this
film
project.
Yeah,
Is that what I was trying to say? I don't know what I was trying to say. Chris Terrio, he was not involved in this.
No, he's not. He helped write with Goyer on Batman vs Superman.
Okay. Yeah,
but Goyer has an insane history. Like, he wrote Blade. He wrote a bunch of the X-Men movies. I was reading through it the other night.
I think he's good.
Like, he definitely has a lot. He covers the spectrum. He has some insanely really good films. He has some other ones where I'm like, I don't know why you wrote that. But yeah, check out his filmography.
I don't know if this is in your fun facts, but I know a lot about Man of Steel, and Duncan Jones and Matt Reeves were eyed to direct this before Snyder was.
You know who else was? They offered it to him.
I think I know.
Ben Affleck.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was on. They asked him to do it, and he was like, "I've never made a movie this big. I've never made anything with like this much special effects.
Yeah, that
I'm
might
good."
have been too much.
So yeah.
Because when I was researching it for a video essay I made, I didn't know like Duncan Jones did like Warcraft. He doesn't really have a lot under his belt, so he was like kind of like the first time director. Because Nolan and Goyer wrote this thing, like it seemed to be their project more than anything, maybe more than Snyder's. I think it ended up becoming Snyder's baby.
He definitely had some good input on it too. Yeah,
it's interesting to see a young Zack Snyder before he got fucked by DC, Warner Brothers, and before the Snyder Cut stuff. Like, it was just like you could tell like he was a much different person. He was a story director at that point. 300 had released.
Well,
a lot of people liked Watchmen and Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, what's his version?
Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, yeah. Like, he had a lot of like good things under his bag, and especially with WB with Watchmen.
Well, and I do think
proven.
this is peak Snyder for me because he has the team behind him.
I think he peaks with BVS personally.
Sure, I think he has the team behind him specifically that makes him his best self. I do think once you start giving him the story reins fully, that's when you start losing it. And even Army of the Dead. I think once you start giving him that much control, I feel like when he starts getting off track and losing his focus. But when you leave him in the director's chair to take what someone is giving him and to really put his stamp on it, I think that's when he shines. I mean, because this movie is
people
fantastically
can't do
shot.
Everything.
Absolutely.
Like, a lot of people in your job, maybe you can relate to this. You wear a lot of different hats, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily good at wearing all those hats.
Exactly. And I think
you're probably good at like one of those hats.
And I think it's on you as that person to recognize that too. And I think Snyder has to recognize that a little bit because visually he is one of the best directors out there. He was a specific choice by Nolan after he watched Watchmen. That's what led him to hire him for this. And I get that. And I mean, even Nolan's talked about Watchmen before. He's like, that's one of his favorite superhero films of all time, just of what it did for the genre. And I tend to agree. Yeah. Zack Snyder,
it's definitely a very true comic book adaptation, and we don't really get a lot of those.
No, it's rare. And, and I think that's so specific just because it is like this one-off story.
And what do we mean by that? It means like we're adapting page to
like
to
direct,
screen.
almost as direct of a translation as you can, and while making it a film. I mean,
I don't think Man of Steel is based off any comic.
There's elements of Superman Birthright. There's a few different like things within it. I think from Superman stories. Yeah. From what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a whole monologue from Jonathan, which I think is straight out of Birthright.
Okay.
But And even still, I've been seeing inspiration apparently being drawn from that even for Superman that we're seeing soon. So, I don't know. I think my biggest gripe with the film is I do wish Superman just had a bit more personality. And I wish he was more certain in the way of like, he understands like, yeah, some people may hate me for what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it because it's right. See, and that's where I like to see, and that's kind of the Superman I like to see.
I think his uncertainty is like the uniqueness of Snyder's Superman.
Yeah, and I think that's going to work. That's either going to work or not work with people, I guess.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Let's talk about the Daily Planet and what we see of that.
Probably my least favorite part of the
I think oh my god, why do I not know these people's names? Lawrence Fishburne.
He's fantastic.
He's a great Perry White.
He is.
I really like how like I didn't notice this in like I noticed it this time watching when he rejects Lois's thing of like, hey, I want to run this Superman thing.
Like there's aliens here. I know it. Yeah.
Right. We went to the ship with Christopher Maloney and Emil Hamilton, and you know, like there's a spaceship down there, and it's fucking real. I was in it. Somebody saved me. Like
a man with heat vision saved me.
This is fucking proof.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, and like it's more than like Perry White just being a dick. It's like I don't think like humanity is ready for that.
So like
you know, like going into Jonathan Kent's thing, like humanity is not ready for that story, but like you went to like some dark web person, and you know,
see that's where that element makes the most sense to me, especially like this reporter saying that. Where again, I just think I wish Jonathan was more sure of it, like understanding that people will be afraid and people will be scared of you, but I know you're a good person. I know you're going to do the right thing because of the way we raised you. You are here to help us, and you should do that. So, I don't know. That's probably my only like my major gripe with the film, if anything.
So the part with the Daily Planet, I guess the Daily Planet characters. So when, Zod gets the world engine from the Phantom Zone. And he uses that to essentially, we're going to change Earth into Krypton and wipe humanity out. That's kind of like their objective here. And that's why Superman didn't trust him. So good for him. You know, and I'm kind of bringing some BVS into this too. The tagline for when the movie starts and when we see Bruce Wayne in Metropolis, the mankind is introduced to the Superman. And I think like that titleization of this event is like putting it on par with like 9/11. And what do I mean by that? The way the city is destroyed and there's people running around like fleeing for their lives, covered in the smoke from the destroyed buildings. Perry and the two other people from the Daily Planet, like, you know, like the engine is like coming towards them, and the area of effect is getting bigger, and like they're gonna die.
Yeah.
And you know, like they're trying to leverage debris to help her, and they get to a point where it's like we're
just gonna die. Yeah. So I'm gonna hold your hand.
Yeah, and I'm gonna look at you, and like I'm like that. We'll die together. Is so powerful.
No, there is
like this event, the level of in which this first contact happens is like devastating for the people of Metropolis.
And I will say, this movie very much feels like a science fiction film rather than a comic book film. And I think that works for it in a lot of ways, and I think in other ways it kind of hampers it a little bit. But especially in that moment, it makes you feel something. And Gooch, I mentioned it while we were watching it, though. We were deep in the time of the Skybeam. Once again,
it's not too.
And I will say it's not too bad, but it's just funny. It just brings back so many memories. So many movies at the time had this Skybeam going on. I don't know why. So there is one issue that I will point out, though.
Okay.
For me, two actually. One that you just pointed out to me that I didn't even think about with the Daily Planet. You were like, it's Perry with those other two people from the Daily Planet. We have no idea who these people are. I do wish like we had more of.
I think one's guy's named Steve.
Steve, yeah. And again, I don't know, like, why couldn't he just be Jimmy Olsen? I understand it's not a huge issue to have him out, but he's a main part of Superman lore. Like, he is very much I think as pivotal of a character in Superman's story as a Lois Lane. Yeah. So it does feel weird to me to have him be completely absent from this film. And just the idea that the Daily Planet in general just felt very generic and bland, and just like, all right, we're just in like a kind of gray office. And like, I like these interactions between Perry and Lois. But aside from that, I'm not really getting a real idea of
Right, and
of the Daily
it seems
Planet.
like James Gunn is like doing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
We're bringing in Cat Grant and Snapper Carr and like all the fucking
Jimmy's there. Yeah.
the dude who does the sports stuff.
Right.
It's not Snapper. We're bringing in like all the Daily Planet personalities we can here.
Like
you know?
we're fully leaning into the Superman lore with this next one. And again, the reason they didn't do that back in this time, I genuinely think it was the time. It was the time of realistic Superman or superhero films where we're seeing superheroes in our day and time as we see it now. And I'm incredibly excited for Superman because, like they mentioned, it's a world where superheroes has been around for like 300 years, metahumans, and like it's just the norm. And I'm curious to see what that world looks like and just the full lean into it. So I'm excited for that. Anything else?
I didn't. So the only thing I really like actually don't like about the movie, and this is a weird nitpick, is like the Kryptonian robots, and they're like tenderly and like the Sentinels, and
there is some of that design that doesn't work very
I'm just
well
like,
for me.
these look kind of dumb.
Yeah, I agree. And even that battle with like the world engine, I didn't like that. Like,
yeah, it's just so like there's so much better in this movie.
yeah,
than that.
and I said this with Superman Returns. It's something that annoys me when the hero can just do something they couldn't do a minute ago. And I like it was with the Kryptonite Island with Superman Returns. He just was like, I can lift this out of the atmosphere for some reason now. And then with this one, he was flying against the world engine. And he's like, I actually am powerful enough. I'm going to destroy it.
See, I kind of it's like think about it like as Superman, yes, but like as a human, Clark Kent, and like the willingness and the constitution to sort of achieve those goals.
I know.
It
just feels like a bit of a cop out for me. I don't know. Just do it. Why are you flying at it from the center? Fly it from. I guess because it's expanding, right? I don't know. Either way, very minor gripe.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I like at the end where she says, "What do you do? What are you going to do when you're not saving the universe?" That's a name of a track too, from Hans Zimmer's score.
Love it.
And like they get into the Daily Planet, but it's different. Like he's a reporter, and like Lois Lane knows him, but like I don't know if the relationship starts right away. Probably a few months in. Like it's hard to tell.
I was going to say it probably grows rather quickly because obviously by Batman vs Superman they're like a full-fledged couple. And
yeah,
stuff,
and it's
right?
been like a year and a half,
I think
maybe
so.
like 2 years. 2 years. So yeah, Man of Steel is a great movie.
I enjoy it a lot too.
I remember when it first came out,
too.
it was really like not liked.
Well, I think it's a very divisive film because I even remember talking back with
Snyder
like
film is divisive.
Yeah,
except for like 300.
And I don't know. I definitely agree. I think what kills it for some people, not kills it, but hurts it, is the ending for people where they feel like it gets a little long in the tooth and just the destruction goes kind of wild. But I think overall for a modern day Superman movie, it's pretty damn good, especially for the time. In a time where people were a little afraid to lean into the like more crazier aspects of superhero films and stuff like that, and the more wackiness of it, to make it this really science fiction heavy action epic works. And I think they do a good job of especially setting that up in the beginning with Krypton's like destruction, and they set the tone very well. So yeah, I love it. I'll always watch Man of Steel. I'll come back to this year after year for sure. Anything else, Gooch?
No, let's hear some fun facts.
Let's go on to some fun facts. Okay. So, Kryptonian technology was organic and biomechanical. Everything from the ships to the armor looked as if it had been grown rather than built. The team wanted Krypton to feel ancient, advanced, and lived in, and with an aesthetic inspired by H.R. Geiger, brutalist architecture, and deep-sea creatures. I definitely see that. And even like with the city, it's like a coral reef. Like when he's flying up to get the thing, like the layers.
We were really examining the city,
Krypton itself and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm like, what do you do here? Yeah,
like the city seems to be under like whatever.
It's like
we're
almost
floating
two.
above.
Yeah, there's like it's very interesting. I will say the
we
design.
We didn't talk about the Kryptonian armor, but like it's funny how we were like, that's got to be practical, and then we see it in
some
CGI.
of them. That one Zod's armor was wild. How good it looked, but it did. The CGI armor got questionable for me by the end of the thing. I do wish there was some more practical stuff, even if it was like just their chest piece was practical.
We
got
to talk about Superman suit too.
Yeah, that's on here.
Cool,
coming up next. So the S being a symbol for hope for Superman originates from Superman Birthright, originated by Mark Waid and Lynil Francis Yu. I do want to read that. It's apparently just a modernized retelling of his origin that apparently led into a lot more comics. So I definitely love to check it out. The suit was designed as Kryptonian ceremonial armor. not something Clark put together himself. The ornate patterning across the fabric was inspired by ancient chainmail, religious garb, and it was meant to imply a cultural significance. And
I like that.
I do too.
I really, I'm okay.
You could
with
almost
it. Like,
call it Kryptonian underwear to a degree.
we were questioning the cape, but
no, I don't.
like,
I love
why
the
the
cape.
cape's on it. Like
Oh,
what
right,
the significance
right. Yeah,
of it
yeah.
is. Like if it's like Kryptonian,
Like chainmail or Under Armour. Yeah, why is that?
Yeah, some sort of like lighter outfit. Yeah, I really love the suit for Man of Steel. It's the blue is like navy, but like the red pops and the yellow is kind of like very subtle.
Yeah.
I think the suit looks great.
I think it looks the best in Snyder. Oh no, I guess BVS maybe. I just wish the colors were punched up a tiny bit.
And
you
BVS,
don't need to go bright.
it's definitely punched up.
Yeah, for sure. But I do love that suit. I think it looks great. Yeah, they tried a bunch of different designs with the trunks. Snyder wanted to do the trunks.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he just couldn't find a way to make it work. And hey, I understand.
I mean, I think Gunn maybe just didn't find a way to make it work. Just did it.
Well, so there was an interview with him and Corn Sweat, and he was.
They
talking
don't look
about,
super tight either.
Well, and he was like, he wasn't going to go with the trunks. He said, I guess Corn Sweat convinced him. He said because he's like, well, he used them to look silly for the kids. He doesn't want to be intimidating. He wants to look like, a wrestler or something like that, something kids have fun with. And I was like, I like that idea.
That's a pretty good explanation.
He grows up maybe
especially if his mom
made it. And that's the thing. I like these suits tell two different stories, and I love that.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
This
absolutely.
it's a Kryptonian chainmail. It's ceremonial. It's from Krypton. It shows that he's still very much invested in Krypton, whereas in Superman, the new one, it seems like his mom made it. It's very much of Earth origin, and to represent his kind of transition to being, a human in a way. And I like that a lot, and I think it says a lot. So I love this suit. I think it looks great. The S itself is great. The whole meaning of hope thing, I think that works very well. So the filmmakers hired Professor Christine E. Schreier, an expert in anthropology and linguistics. At the University of British Columbia to create the Kryptonian language, which there is Kryptonian, sentences and like words and stuff on the armor, like subtly built in that you can't really see. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I know about that.
And then I mentioned the Ben Affleck thing that he was offered to direct. So instead of relying solely on CGI or green screen, the crew built large practical sets, including a full street of Smallville, to stage the massive Zod and Superman battle. The destruction was real, and the buildings rigged to collapse during the fight. So yeah, you feel
that was one thing we never talked about. That looks like a set. That looks like CGI.
No,
like,
absolutely.
It never
even
looks
Zod's
like that.
ship.
Like Krypton probably feels like a set because it is.
But it
and
is
it's
but
small.
But even
like it doesn't. It doesn't take away from it.
Absolutely. So, according to David Goyer, the story's major theme is first contacts. Quote, we approach Superman as if it weren't a comic book movie, but as if it were real. He's an alien. If the world found out he existed, it would be the biggest thing to ever happen in human history. Just the existence would change the face of Earth forever. And yeah, that absolutely shines through in this.
Yeah, and it does.
Yeah,
it does.
It works.
Again, like going to BBS, mankind is introduced to the Superman. That is fucking
and just aliens,
traumatic.
It's just aliens in general. Legit, it's just like, oh, we're not alone in the universe. like it's wild. And the idea that would imagine like if someone comes on the TV and they're like, yeah, there's been an alien here for 30 years with you guys, by the way. He just looks like you. Have fun. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So this was Amy Adams' third time auditioning for Lois Lane. She first read for Lois in Brett Ratner's abandoned Superman film, then for Superman Returns in 2006.
Was that Nick Cage?
No, that was like one of the many directors that went through in that transition time that we mentioned.
Talking about that, yeah.
So yeah, it started. Adams had stated it had become ridiculous at this time. She had to play Lois and put the stamp on it. She was apparently a big fan of the character, and
I mean, I think she does a great job in this.
She's fantastic. Yeah.
I'm interested to kind of examine it again from like the BVS standpoint. She's much less. No, actually, I'll take that back. But yeah, I think she's great in Man of Steel. She looks awesome. She takes no shit from anybody, and they don't really take a long time to like make that apparent.
I think
she lands on that iceberg, and she's like,
she's like, "Are we done with the dick measuring?" She sets her up. She sets up her personality perfectly. Yeah, I totally agree.
What do you think about the tinkle line?
I thought it was funny. I just thought it was fine. She's like, what if I have to take a tinkle? And then he's just like, fuck it. And then just walks out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny stuff. Yeah. So when Jor-El escapes the council, A shattered moon can be seen in the sky in the back. I did notice this. This is Wegthor, a moon of Krypton, which, according to the comics, was destroyed when a warhead was accidentally launched, leading to Kryptonian spaceflight and colonization being abandoned. So I thought that was
and they mentioned that in the thing when they're in the Phantom Zone and they get out. Zod's ship, they immediately try to find like these space outposts that existed, and they all die.
Yeah, all
they don't really
gone,
they don't really mention like what happens to them, and they're like,
well, I think the idea is after
pretty fucked up.
Like once Krypton died, they didn't have any support, so they just ended up like completely dying. I know they had been kind of basically shut down was the idea and been very much pulled back on, but I think there were people still living there. I guess when Krypton was destroyed, and then they had no way of getting somewhere else. I don't know. Yeah. We don't know about any other alien races or anything so far in this universe besides them. So
it would be interesting. Even after, I mean, I guess there's like dark side,
and also
like,
it's out there.
It's not like that broad.
No, it's not. And last but not least, I think my favorite fun fact that I found out last night: General Zod's first name is Drew. He's Drew Zod. I didn't know that. Apparently, in the comics, that's true. It's not mentioned in the movie at all, but I just saw that and I'm like, I have to say that. That's like Blackagon Boltagar. I don't know why. It's not as bad, but it's just funny to me.
Yeah, it is funny. It's just like very
Drew. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
very,
Cal
very
sounds
normal. Like Paul Atreides.
Right. But yeah, that does it for us, Gooch. That's Man of Steel. That's our Superman Rewind review.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. We have plans to do Fantastic Four stuff. I don't necessarily know if we're going to do it / exactly it's going to happen. I guess we got to figure out in a few weeks. We're very close to Fantastic Four, but that's sort of going to be either mixed in with this, but it's going to be another 3. But yeah, this was really fun. Evan Moore, friend of the show, commented on our Superman one, and he's like, "You guys got to watch Superman 2."
I know, I do keep hearing that
because he's like, like Returns is a sequel to that, and we talked about that, and I'm like, I think I'll give Superman 2. Maybe I'll watch it after the movie comes out. I've been watching a lot of movies lately.
Yeah.
And I only have so much time, but
Absolutely.
maybe a good idea, and hopefully you watch some Superman 2, and come join us for our Superman hot take later down the line. Make sure you subscribe on your way out.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I have to do the intro.
Say, you did, hit us.
I always fucking I'm so bad.
It's because these are so random, truly. So I get it.
Yeah. These are like 1 of 10 podcasts we do. But thank you all for watching live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We really appreciate it. You can find us anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network, and of course on youtube.com/ I had to burp. Delco Nerd Network. You can find us on Facebook and anywhere with an @ at Delco Nerd. You can join our Discord where we talk about all things Superman, video games, nerd related in every description of any podcast. And you can find all that information on our site, delconerdnetwork.com. And on there is our Gmail, delconerds@gmail.com. You can send us any feedback you have, comments, concerns, things for the good of the group. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can also leave it on this video too if you'd like.
Yeah, comments
or in
are
our
great.
Discord, we have a feedback channel. But my name is Anthony Ragucci. That's Chris Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we'll see you next time.